We are streaming on all the places. Tweets are out. Let's do this. Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, where you can offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Erin Campbell.
Hello.
Ruben Bressler.
Hi Evan, how you doing?
It was a September miracle because I came home to power today.
That's quite impressive that we're actually able to be on the internet.
Oh,
yeah, and it's interesting that you survived a hurricane and your internet is still in better shape than Ruben's.
How dare you?
Ruben did tater earlier. Straight tater. Hashtag tater. Yeah, so a hurricane happened. That was a thing. 4 days without power. That sucked in the Florida heat. But we're back, so that's awesome. However... Yeah, I'm safe. We're good. Family's good. High five. You know, friends are okay. That's fantastic. So I'm really happy to hear that. That said, and thanks for all the well wishes, everybody. I appreciate it. Our Patron stream. We're going to do a Patron stream for our $20 plus patrons this Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern. So for those who support us at that level or higher, show up on Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll hang out. We'll say hello. We'll chitty chat. It'll be great.
It's been a while.
It's been a little bit, and so we'll do another one here shortly thereafter, so we can make sure we can catch up on that stuff. Because you know, I'm certainly in catch-up mode.
We were trying to do one, and then I almost died, and then Evan almost died. So this is the first time that we've actually been able to run it. So Erin, don't almost die.
Okay.
Yes, right. Please.
And then we'll be good.
That said, I am tweeting out a link, or not tweeting out. I'm putting a link. Of course, I can't put it in YouTube because YouTube hates links. But I will put it on Twitter. You can find it at Magic Mike's Cast for a set of gold doubloons. Now I want you to check this out at CoolStuffGames.com/pre-release, and these doubloons are insane. Like
they're really cool.
They're super duper cool. They're a little bit larger than a quarter. They're super thick. They came out amazing. And I want to give you guys some. You can check them out. CoolStuffGames.com/pre-release. We'll give away 2X. I have the link here on Twitch. I have the link on Twitter. Please go try. I want to give you some. So that's great. So we have the Patreon stream. We have the giveaway. All right, now Ixalan. Now Ixalan is happening. We kind of accidentally had a whole set show up. Also, Ixalan has a preview this week for us. That's still good. Okay. So.
Just so many things.
We got so many things. We have so many things. It's going to be a wonderful, fun-filled show. But let's talk about Deathgorge Scavenger, which is our preview from Ixalan. And yeah, it's a dinosaur. And dinosaurs rule.
We did it. We got a dinosaur, guys.
Dinosaurs are so good. The dinosaurs are so good in this set. I can't wizard right here. I know, Aaron, it's okay. But right here, right there is where the dinosaurs live in my heart. Okay, Deathgorge Scavenger. Let's check it out, everybody. And MythicSpoiler.com, we're watching you. We're watching you.
I got it. I got this set up right here.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna see how long it takes.
Deathgorge Scavenger is a green and 2 generic mana for a.
Okay. If you're gonna do this, you need to get the name right. There is no R. It is Deathgorge, not Deathgorgers. So let's work on that.
You're totally right. I'm sorry. Deathgorge Scavenger. You're totally right.
The first time was cute, and then you did it again, and I was like, fix that.
Actually, I literally have it written down as Deathgorger because I complete it that way. Deathgorge Scavenger is a green and 2 generic mana for a 3/2 rare dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile target card from a graveyard, any graveyard. If a creature card is exiled this way, you gain 2 life. If a non-creature is exiled this way, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So dinosaurs have an amazing curve right now. Wizards has pumped all the good dinosaurs at all the right rarities, at all the right mana costs. There's a million ways to make them cheaper.
Yep.
This guy kind of incidentally sort of splash damage kills the Pharaoh's Gift, the
God of Pharaoh's Gift.
God Pharaoh's Gift deck. Yeah, just sort of accidentally, just like oops, your deck's bad, like because this guy exists. I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's not that their deck's bad. But it is a main deckable way to interact with that deck, which you don't see a ton. Like you're not going to play the Scry Relic in your main deck, right? You're not going to play, usually you're not going to play Graveyard Hate in your main deck unless it's far and away the best deck in the format.
Right.
This is incidental Graveyard Hate. You're still going to play this guy as your 3-drop in Dinosaurs. There is the Rampant Growth Dinosaur, but that's a 2/3 as opposed to a 3/2. This thing attacks for 4 on turn 4 if you really want to, with no mana ramp.
As long as you exile the non-creature card, which is super easy, by playing Magic.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things, you know, like Evolving Wilds, and there's a lot of opts that are going to be seeing play and things like that. The downside, of course, being that this is a 3-drop, and there are so many ways to ramp from 2 to 4 in Dinosaurs right now that maybe you don't even need a 3-drop. But yeah, let's say you play your tap out of mana to your mana pool dinosaur guy, and then they lightning strike it. Well, you still got a 3-drop. Hooray! And this guy is no joke. This card, every single turn gets bigger. Every single turn interacts with your opponent's graveyard.
It only gets bigger until end of turn. It does not get a counter.
Oh.
It just gets
you well, sure. It still attacks as a 4/3 a lot of the time, or gains you life in a different type of matchup.
Yeah.
Or in a different, if you want to remove something else. The incidental interaction, in addition to the Warpath Ghoul that attacks with +1/+1, is quite a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, and we've seen a couple dinosaurs that could almost qualify as hate bears. You know, they're bodies that have a sort of controlling effect on you. And I think this card is great. You know, I'm not normally a fan of things that eat your graveyard, but, you know, we kind of talked about this in the pre-show, Ruben, and you touched on that artifact as well. You know, when you need to board in answers to things, you want to board in things that augment your strategy. So, like, for example, when you're playing Death and Taxes, in Modern or in Legacy, you're not really going to board in Relic of Progenitus when you can just board in Containment Priest, which is what you're already trying to do. You're already playing a white creature beatdown deck, so why not play the white creature that does what you want it to do? If you're playing Naya Dinosaurs or Golgari Dinosaurs or whatever we're doing in Ixalan, you're not going to bring in the Scry Relic thing when you can just bring in a dinosaur that does the same thing for you and doesn't distract from your plan of play things and turn it sideways. And so this is a really neat card, and I think that, you know, graveyards are something we all have anyways. I don't think you have to specifically be playing a graveyard deck for this card to benefit. Like you said, we're always putting spells in our graveyard, creatures in our graveyard. The Aftermath cards are another thing that this can eat too. If those ever see play too, you know, this deals with that too. And I think it's just a really nifty card. And look at the feathers, the mohawk. That's
he looks like Bebop, the bad guy from Ninja Turtles.
No, you did not.
Wow.
He does. He looks like we just need a Rocksteady in the next we need a Triceratops Rocksteady in the next set. And then we're good to go. So yeah, this card's great. I love this card.
Yeah, so I appreciate Wizards. Thank you very much for our exclusive preview. Deathgorge Scavenger. I really do think this card can see constructed play because the incidental upside is so high, and anyone who's like, well, what if there's nothing in graveyards? See also Tarmogoyf. Like, there's always something in graveyards.
There's always something in graveyards. Also, this says a graveyard, so you can interact with your own graveyard to feed your own dinosaur if you're not finding enough fuel in your opponent's graveyard, in much the same way that Deathrite Shaman was able to do that. I think this card's great. I think that this card has a very high likelihood of being very, very good.
Yeah. Fantastic. So we got to keep moving because we got 400 topics this week. You know, we're catching up, as it were. So MTG Arena. Magic the Gathering Arena finally showed up. I'm going to bring up the website now, Wizards website, where you can join the closed beta. And it's interesting because they actually have noted that they will give you preferential treatment into the beta if you do certain things like play in the Ixalan pre-release or I think playing something else, playing some Magic Online stuff. And I thought that was really interesting. They tie it in. They reward you for that stuff, which is really cool. So they had an hour-long stream. They explained what the game was. They showed an actual demo, actual factual playable Magic with new cards from Ixalan, which was really cool because we found out an unbelievable card we'll talk about here in a little bit. But essentially, this is them unveiling it. This is the, you know, there was a Wizards who once said Hearthstone is not a competitor. They said that. That was a thing. Yeah. This is Hearthstone in Magic, and I'm okay with that because hashtag that Hearthstone money. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Hashtag that Hearthstone money. Now, at the same time, you have Wizards who are like, hey, Magic Online players, please don't freak out. You know, even if you have articles on the internet who are acting like Magic has never had a digital outlet, they're like, no. Magic Online is totally cool. Magic Online is totally sweet. we also said Hearthstone's not a competitor. Magic Online is totally okay. It's never going anywhere for really promise. I have a theory. Now, look, this is looking down the road. I'm not saying anything's going to happen to Magic Online anytime soon, but I think there's going to be a little graph and a little chart, and there's going to be an X that happens. And one of those is when Magic Online starts making a little bit less money. And one of those is when Magic Arena starts making a lot of money. And when those lines cross, Magic Online, the fuse starts, is the way I would put it. Now, the fuse could be that they essentially lock Magic Online with whatever content it has, whether it's, cube drafts and, legacy stuff and all that good stuff. They lock it right there, and they keep it into some sort of status mode. And again, this is just my conjecture. However, Magic Online didn't start with all the sets. Magic Online kind of was the first foray. It's such old architecture. It's going to be really difficult, I feel, to take some of that stuff from Magic Online to Arena. If Wizards actually wants to pay 2 dev teams at the same time to develop the same sets on 2 different digital platforms for the next 20 years, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I can't understand. So if Arena works, then high five, they can say, well, Arena's doing so well, we want to put resources towards Arena, blah, blah, blah. If Arena bombs, they still have the safety net of Magic Online. They can be like, well, Arena wasn't a thing, we did something wrong and it didn't catch on and blah, 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 but we still have Magic Online, so let's just keep on trucking that way. So they kind of have a best of both worlds situation, which, for what it's worth, I can appreciate. But Magic the Gathering Arena itself, I thought looked pretty sweet. I thought for what they wanted to do, I thought it did it. I thought it brought fun, interesting, splashy. Jace is saying words now, which is a thing. Yep. Planeswalkers look different when they're on the battlefield versus creatures. Creatures look kind of cool with little icons and stuff. And dinosaur, holograms are jumping out. Like, this is the stuff that, Hearthstone's had for so long, at least, in certain forms. And it's so funny when, Rosewater in, one of the promo videos is like, what I love? When the card, smashes the guy's face. And it's like, what's been in Hearthstone from day one? Smashing the other person's face.
To be fair, if you don't think that Mark Rosewater has been making little sound effect noises every time he attacks with creatures and going, making the lightsaber noises whenever he swings his lightsabers since he got hired at Wizards of the Coast, you're fooling yourself. This is just the first time he's been able to do it.
Nice.
Or acknowledge it.
Acknowledge it.
So, Erin, how do you feel about?
Yeah, I can appreciate that at least.
Where are you at on MTG Arena?
I really like it. I have to say I was particularly impressed with the rollout. I was watching the stream from work and, I really appreciated the effort behind the scenes. All of a sudden I started seeing people tweet articles. Like Elaine Chase was retweeting things, Lee was retweeting things, and you could see that there was a coordinated effort with all of these other websites like Hollywood Reporter, sites that I wouldn't even think really cared about Magic, that all of a sudden had these reviews of it that were like, here is the hot new program, and I really appreciated that. The PR blitz was very impressive and it happened within minutes too, where it's like, all these Wizards employees are suddenly retweeting these articles and they're all different, and everybody in the article had already played a copy of the game, they already had things to say about it. And then I Googled this just to see what else was out there, and within the hour that this happened, it was like a 60-minute stream, I was seeing just a flood of Google articles, and that's something you have to plan. Like, that's not a coincidence, that's a coordinated PR effort, and I'm all about that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I think the professional launch there, they clearly had an embargo date, and they did lots of interviews and stuff, and the way they presented it, I thought, barring a few kind of awkward questions, like it's free to play, but we don't know if there's going to be trading. I don't think there's trading. They said trading's not in the client yet, whatever that's supposed to mean. They don't know exactly how formats are going to work. They don't know how much they're going to charge, but they know that the demo that they showed you was positive.
Yeah, yes. I was also fascinated by because I tend to play older formats, and so like you touched on, Evan, there's the question of what's going to happen to Legacy, what's going to happen to Vintage, what's going to happen to Modern. Will that be something we can do someday to play these formats in Arena? And there was talk of this new rules engine, like they had mentioned, and I don't remember the exact wording, but they said something about it being aware or learning or some sentience. I'm not really sure, but some people were wondering what that means, if that new rules engine means it'll make it easier to integrate the older sets, because I have a lot of friends who are like, well, there's no Legacy, I don't care. And it's beautiful for what it's trying to do, for Standard and Draft, of course, but for those of us who don't play those formats, you can sort of wake me up when it's my turn.
Right. Yeah, that's the big thing about Arena is, this release at HasCon was intended to do one thing: get the hype out. get people talking about it, and they certainly did that. It was trending on Twitter. We're all talking about it. Like you said, a bunch of resources that you don't typically think of as coming out with Magic the Gathering news, or ever think of as coming out with anything Magic related. We're talking about it. A little strange that they were saying that this is their first foray into digital.
That's shade right there.
Because Magic the Gathering digital objects exists.
I mean, Wizards didn't say that. The outlet did, but it's still funny that happened.
It's still funny to us.
You know that they could have made some phone calls and been like, you need to change that, but no, they let that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a little funny for people who are on the inside already, but that's not a thing that you interrupt the press conference to be like, actually, we already have a digital project. Because Professor Frink is their spokesperson. In any case,
excuse me, guys.
If you wouldn't mind, I have a quick thing to correct you upon. No, they aren't going to do that because Hollywood Reporter and Fortune Magazine are talking about them. So they're not going to. And in any case, there are a lot of unanswered questions still left by Arena. What does that thing you just talked about, Erin, the new the artificial intelligence or the programming mean? Does that mean that they're going to have a unified program to be able to run on both platforms?
On other programs, yes.
They have that run on an iPad.
Yes, because they are building it on the same engine that Hearthstone uses, which is called Unity. And so everyone, so there was this weird oh my god, they're not on Macs, blah blah blah, because the beta is going to be Windows only or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but they have the tools to just be export for Mac, and it exports for Mac.
People were not happy about that. They were like, really?
Hearthstone wasn't immediately available on your iPad either. So
on your iPad,
give it a minute.
But it was immediately available on Macs.
Was immediately available on Mac. I get, sure. I mean, okay. Look, we're behind the curve digitally. So
no. This isn't the part where we're starting to let them have things, and we're supposed to give them this leeway.
Not even out yet. This is still the beta.
This is still the beta. Well, for what it's worth,
1.1.
I'm trying to defend Wizards at this point to say, hey, they're so early in the process. Don't focus on cross-platform. Let's focus on making it right, because every minute that they have a developer time needs to be put into making the game look awesome. They've built it on such a platform that they can export it to other platforms, and now they'll have to do something special for iPad. It took Hearthstone a year to get on iPad, but from day one it was PC and Mac.
Right, and they have. I mean, like Magic players, we're gonna overanalyze everything. We still don't know, like we were talking about. We still don't know if back sets are going to be added. We don't know how this is going to interact with Magic Online in its current form. We don't know how we're going to draft. We don't know how collections are going to work. There's so many unanswered questions from Arena at this point. But they're still in a pre-beta, pre-alpha phase.
Yeah.
Right? We're still in a prehistoric phase of this program that, next year at HASCON, we're going to have another another Arena thing. They're going to come out at something else with something new about Arena next year at HASCON, which is cool. And then probably 2 years from now, same deal. So I'm excited, and the job of getting us excited was a success. They successfully made me happy and optimistic about Alpha.
I have to say, one of the best write-ups I saw was from my old boss, Stibbs. He wrote an article for TCG Player, and several content creators, again, Hipsters of the Coast, had written something too, and I really liked Stibbs' take on things. I think he was very honest, and, I've seen some pretty jaded folks who've replied very positively to this. People that it takes a lot to make them budge, and so I'm pretty excited. Like I said, I look forward to, I'm curious if there's a secondary market, if that's going to be a thing too, and I think there's a lot to look forward to. I think what we've seen so far is very promising, and it'll be interesting to see how it kind of fleshes out.
I think one of the ways to put it was the way that Saffron Olive was saying. He said that if you want to stay current with Hearthstone on a year-by-year basis, it's going to cost you about $800 a year. $800 will let you play standard on Magic Online for the next 6 years or something ridiculous. Silly. Your collection carries over, and you're able to resell some of the old stuff and blah blah blah. So,
but it feels worse.
In terms of Magic Online.
The way that your money gets spent when you're on Magic Online feels like you're spending money, whereas it doesn't feel like it in Hearthstone. There's a rule I forget exactly how this works, but it feels like Disney dollars when you're playing Hearthstone. Sure. Basically.
And I would also note one of the things that they showed very briefly was different card backs. So Don't
Yeah.
think they're not going to ape that from Hearthstone. They are going to ape that from so fast.
I just
So
want to be able
fast.
to choose my tokens. You know, anytime I see people, every once in a while, somebody on Twitter will make a tweet and they're like, you know, if you could do one thing to make Magic Online better, what would you do? And you see people with all these really deep answers and they're like, you know, I would improve the processor by 0.5 gigabytes. And you get me and I'm like, I just want to pick my tokens. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just tired of the ugly spirits that come from Forbidden Orchard
Right.
and the ugly zombies. Like, just let me pick my tokens. Like, that's
I feel
all
like
I
Michael
want.
Michael Jacob, aka Darkest Mage, one of the most popular Magic streamers from back in the day. I don't know if he still streams all that much anymore.
Sure
Does he?
Yeah.
He figured out a way to get into the code of MTGO at one point to change the art
Ooh.
on tokens and cards, and was able to replace images on. I forget when this was. This was a couple years ago.
I want to say that this is actually still a thing you can do, but some people had created an actual download that you could download all of the old school like Power 9 images and put
for
them
the
into
cube.
the program,
Right.
and then they got hit with a cease and desist from Wizards.
Well,
I was going to say, I doubt they could
stop
still
using
do
our own art. Please.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah, kind of awkward.
In any case, I am positive in my attitude towards Arena, and I did not think that I would be.
Yeah, I had one minor quibble, and it's tiny. I was watching the live stream.
We had
petty.
like 20,000 viewers, by the way.
Oh god, but the chat was trash. It was like every meme you could think of. It was like LOL, you know, your mom. It was bad. But
Yeah.
no, the one thing that really grated on me is, so on the left it was Amaz and Gabby, and the font that they used to write their Twitter handles was like Arial bold. Like it was so like Microsoft Word. And I was just like, really? Like, you're going to roll out this great program and you have like a WordPress font for their Twitter handles? I was like, girl.
If that's their biggest sin, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, but the whole thing was so beautiful, and you look at the left and it's like, it just looks like somebody just started their stream and was like, I should type in my name.
If the label to the Mona Lisa was written in Comic Sans, then
Right.
you would be like, why would you? I mean, the Mona Lisa's great, but
Yeah.
like, why is this written in multicolored Comic Sans?
I can take that one. I think that overall, you know, the realm, the sort of the new era of, you know, Microsoft / Chris Cox doing his thing and being able to show sort of like, here's a new digital era. They hired a new digital team.
Right.
I mean, it came off great. You were able to play it at HasCon. Like, I don't have my expectations so high that I think that next year's HasCon will be the version release. I think that I hope in 1 year it will be an open beta. I think
Yes.
next
I think that's a
HasCon
good goal.
they announced their open beta. That I would be totally happy with that. I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do with all their pricing, but we don't have any more time to pontificate because, Lord, we have everything else to talk about.
Yeah.
Iconic Masters. All right, so let's start where they started, which was the name. Or rather, I would argue they started at the end of that process where they're like, hey, here's a master set. What do we call this thing again? And they're like throwing darts at the board, and then someone hits iconic, and they go, that's it, let's go, it's lunch. You know, like, is that where we're at? Because you cannot call a set Iconic Masters and not have Dark Ritual or Lightning Bolt in it. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
There were a lot of cards that everyone was like, oh, Iconic Masters. This set will have Shivan Dragon.
Yeah.
This set will have Lightning Bolt. This set will have Llanowar Elves. Those are iconic.
Yeah.
Nope, none of those. Instead, we got, Malfagor? What did we get?
Malfagor.
We got some weird ones.
We got
That's
some
for
really
sure.
odd dogs in there, and we had some legitimate, amazing cards. I'll pull up a few.
Absolutely.
I'll pull up a few now. Let's face it, the money card that they actually spoiled before the set was opened by players, which I thought was kind of weird because the morning of they very much sold this as you're going to be the first people on the planet beyond Wizards employees who are able to see these cards. Oh, by the way, here's a whole presentation with a bunch of money cards. Whatever. Mana Drain. Mana Drain is the $120+ mythic right out the gate. It is the money card of the set. It is the one, it's the one you want to open. It's the foil that's going to be worth like $500 or whatever ridiculousness. It's in the new frame. It was one of the cards that's on the list. There's only one left. There's only one uber money card that they can reprint left, and that is Rishodon Port, and I'm happy to wager a healthy amount that we're going to see it in next year's first Master set, that 25 years or Magic 25 or whatever they call it.
Magic 25 Rishodon Port, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, and it was funny because on Twitter, you know, like a day or so before, I was just like, I'm calling it, Mana Drain's in this one. You know, they're waiting on Rishodon, and here's Mana Drain, so that's great. So that happened. Horizon Canopy was also surprisingly one of the biggest money cards in the set.
Thank God. $90+ right now. The card is absurd.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Horizon Canopy, I mean, the new Ancestral Vision looks gorgeous. That was a nice one. And those have been climbing up in price as well.
The Vorthoses were losing their mind about that one. If I remember correctly, it has to do with Thrawn. Yep. And oh my God, the tumblers.
Thrawn.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we could go on forever about Urza studying the Thrawn and the Brothers' War, but don't worry about it. Basically, the art tells a good portion of the story. Go check out the MTG wiki about that story. But yeah, there were a bunch of money cards that needed reprinting. The whole cycle of Praetors. Yeah. Flusterstorm, your Bloodghasts. You get another.
Flusterstorm is $100 right now. Why? Why?
Bloodghast only had one printing. And now has two.
Almost
That's
30
great.
Or $30.
Right. Mishra's Baubles, not only just printing Mishra's Bauble, but at uncommon is a huge deal.
That's
so yeah, there you go. And I mean, there was just a ton of cards that needed to see more printing. They were there, and they're in this set. And this set is named Iconic Masters. I'm happy with the set. I'm not happy with the name.
Yeah. Grove of the Burnwillows was another one that got as high as like $60 to $80. That was, I think that whole cycle got remade in this set. River of Tears and things like that. Cryptic Command has always been up there. Glimpse the Unthinkable is $30. Why?
Right.
Who's using this card?
Casual players. Casual players love that card.
Pointy ears are using.
But yeah, just Oblivion Stone can be up to $20 at some point. Thoughtseize. We're getting the Lorwyn Thoughtseize reprint. Not even
Thoughtseize.
One.
Good art. Thoughtseize. New Cryptic Command art is also great.
God, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely listen. I feel like they listen to us in terms of reprints. Like, there's a lot of money cards where I feel like that's a good thing, that the cost should hopefully go down. But yeah, somebody basically just said it's like a modern master set with a weird name. And yeah, Iconic is...
The chats were suggesting Commander Masters, which I really like, assuming Mana Drain is legal in Commander. Other than that, Iconic is not the word I would have used, unfortunately.
I mean, this is where I feel it should have just been Eternal Masters 2017, just because Wizards are going to have to get there. Like, this is a point where, like, you know, this is the part where Wizards is a subsidiary of Hasbro, and Hasbro has shareholders, and they like to make dollars, and these are dollars. Those packs are stuffed full of money. Like, the pack value or the box value, somebody calculated over like $380 or something ridiculous. Like, there's a ton of money in this thing. They put the cash in there because one of the problems that they have is they have to hype this thing not just now, 2 months from now. Literally more than 2 months from now, this thing's coming out.
Yeah. Which is super weird, which we talked about in the last episode. Like, how did doing the spoiler season this way help anyone? Other than HASCON. They did hype up HASCON, which was great. Yep. So they used Iconic Masters as a tool to hype up HASCON, but Iconic Masters gets, like, demolished in the timeline now because we're all hyped up and talking about it now, and we literally won't talk about it on this show or any show for 2 months, and then the set will be at $10 a pack. And then people will be like, oh, right, I forgot about that thing is going to happen. But it's $40 to draft it at F&M, so I guess I won't.
You know, there's great cards to pull out of it. So I mean, I think what we talked about was Wizards in this position of, can you keep the hype for Iconic Masters through Ixalan pre-release season? Can you keep it through the release of Ixalan and later actually show up? And I think they tipped the money scale so far, so much value that is a thing, that is a positive. Sure. That they essentially got there in that manner. Again, you know, we are in a new world of 2 master sets a year, and don't think Wizards is ever going to go back to 1 master set a year. Absolutely not. You know, it's too many dollars there, and that's fine. I get it. They're a business; they don't make money. It's cool, but you know, ultimately, don't be calling these sets iconic, whatever, and don't put anything iconic in it. All right?
Yeah.
Like the Praetors are cool, not Elish Norn iconic. Okay, maybe Jin-Gitaxias.
Maybe Jin-Gitaxias. I mean, Shale
Can you even name the red one?
Urabrask the Hidden.
Thank you.
Hey,
And the green one.
green
one.
Green
for the
one
win.
is
The
Foreign Clex. The hold on. The insane. The
Voice of Hunger. Voice of
Hunger.
Yes. All right.
These
Either way,
are $1 billion also. Foreign Clexes are $100 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So look, and again, the point is not that it was bad that they reprinted these. It was bad that Wizards makes money. The point was, don't call a thing when you don't really mean it. It just gives a weird vibe. It was a weird vibe. Either way, reprinting that stuff, new Cryptic Command is just so good.
You know another one?
$17 for Foreign.
Auriot Champions over
yes,
$20 too. Why?
Yeah, those
Casual
Spell Sisters
Superstar.
Aficionados. Yeah, also Casual Superstar.
Just a casual Superstar.
This could have been Casual Masters. Somebody in the YouTube chat suggested that, but that wouldn't sell packs if you called it Casual Masters. We did put Glimpse the Unthinkable, another Casual All-Star, in this set as well. So.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, when Wizards put so much money in packs, the set could just be called Shiny Gold Turds, and people are like, whatever, dude. You want to draft them Shiny Golds? You're like, bro, I'm down for them turds, yo. High five. And that's how it works.
SGD?
No one cares.
You want to draft some SGD? SGD would have been my favorite.
Yeah, the Shiny Gold Turds, it's fine. But
love it.
Either way, just don't be calling me iconic when you're not iconic. Okay, so we have this other set. Ixalan. And not only do we have an exclusive preview for, which is awesome, we have so many cards to talk about. But first, I got to bring up this other thing that came out from HASCON, which was the unstable borderless lands from John Avon. I'm going to bring it up on the screen right now. Do you see the beauty in these lands? Can you imagine these things foil? Seriously?
It makes me wish I used basic lands.
Wow.
Right? Well, you can get some new background art. You can hang 8 posters on your wall instead of 4. These also make excellent phone backgrounds. I think that actually our good friend, close personal friend of the show, Jeff Hoagland, shared links to all of the art for them as phone backgrounds. I think I saw them on his Twitter.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, they are beautiful, and I'm so glad that we have completely textless, even with the little rarity hologram down at the bottom.
Which I think is fine.
Yeah, I love these.
I'm not a monster fan of what they're doing at the top with that little kind of faded kind of frame thing. I don't know if that was necessary, or it could have, instead of going down, it could have went up, or it could have just been a little sliver up there. That's fine. That's okay. But like, the fact that these things are so friggin' sweet, the fact that it's the first time they've ever done actual borderless lands, which they kind of do a little bit in Ixalan. The land that you flip over to, the left and right sides of that thing have no borders officially, for what it's worth. But these unstable lands are unbelievable. Avon's Avon, right?
Killed it.
Unbelievable. Like, they were talking about auctioning off the artwork land. Like, the artwork for all these starts $20K.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's your opening bid.
Each.
No, $20K for the set. $20K for the whole set, but that's where you start. That is the bottom. That's the bottom dollar. So the fact that, let's just put it this way, unstable is going to be successful because the pack is worth MSRP just for the land inside.
Yep.
In fact, it's going to be a booby prize because 1 in every 121 packs has a Steam Flogger boss because it had to be printed black border and they couldn't put it in the rest of the set. So literally, 1 out of 121 packs, you're not getting a land. And it's weird how that's going to be feeling really bad. You're going to be like, oh, I got Steam Floggered. Well, so just draft this, and if anyone feels like they don't want to take the land, take the land. Okay, take the land.
Just take the land.
And if you open a foil one, high five your neighbor. Take the land.
Yeah. You've got free draft or 6.
Yes.
Yeah, this is they're great. I mean, what else can you say other than that these are just knocked out of the park? I mean, I get that the tops and the bottoms are a little less than ideal, Evan. But
wow.
I'm fine with them.
Aaron can handle that one.
I hate them.
The tops or the bottoms, Aaron? Are we right here? Are we right?
Bottoms, is that where we were at?
I have suffered through many tops that were not ideal, but
well,
many tops that should have been bottoms, many bottoms that should have been top. You just never know.
Yeah.
But for unstable, wow, these are so cool. Again, it's great that unstable is going to be successful no matter what because these lands exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's great. All right. So, gathering the townsfolk. time to talk about Ixalan spoilers. There's lots of them. First, we have to go over the sweetest names in the set so far.
Yeah.
Skulduggery, amazing name.
Super, just fantastic.
Ruben, what's your favorite over here?
Mine so far is Sword Point Diplomacy, which is a great euphemism for threatening you.
It's so great your internet can't handle it.
He's just like potato while I'm tatering and sword point.
I tried.
We
You'll have
laugh
to
because we
engage in
laugh.
some sword point diplomacy to get your internet fixed.
Yeah, dude, talk to your local cable internet provider for a solution that works for you.
You should make your internet provider walk the plank. We could do this all night long.
Wow. Man, R-matey. All right, so either way, we're going to start here with some really interesting cards. First up is Vraska Relic Seeker, a black-green, 4 generic mana, mythic planeswalker, a mythic legendary planeswalker these days. You can have multiple Vraskas if you like. That's okay. Has 6 starting loyalty, so 6 mana, 6 starting loyalty. It's obviously a mythic. +2, you make a 2/2 black pirate creature token with Menace. -3, you destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment and create a colorless creature. I'm sorry, a colorless treasure artifact token with tap. Sack this artifact to add a mana to your mana pool, or of any color. And -10, target player's life becomes 1. That's pretty cool.
Love it.
I like that. I don't think this card is actually that amazing for what it's worth, but
No.
I think it's nice. It's cool.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
It's reasonable. I mean, if there's like a Jund super heavy control deck in Modern, probably would play this. It's a little sad that this can't be played in like Pirate EDH, because Pirate EDH is Grixis colored and Vraska has a green mana symbol. I mean, the card is sweet, and it's super fun. It's going to be a bomb in draft, and it has all the tools. Like, it protects itself, it grants card advantage, it's a win condition, etc., or basically a win condition.
Basically.
Yeah. It's a very good card. 6 mana is a ton of mana in a set that's going to have hasty dinosaurs.
Speaking of hasty dinosaurs...
Well, it's also a set that has treasure, which has the little tokens to help you ramp things, and I found it particularly interesting that she can't destroy planeswalkers. That's something that the first incarnation was really well known for.
Right.
So it's interesting that that was left out of this particular version.
Fair enough. But what is not reasonable, what is definitely hasty crazy dinosaur time, is charging Monstrosaur. Charging Monstrosaur, for God's sake, is a red and 4 generic mana for an uncommon 5/5 dinosaur with trample and haste. Do you know how ridiculously over the curve this card is?
Yeah.
Like,
it's
really?
absurd.
Like, not even reasonable. It's not even reasonable how stupidly overpowered this uncommon is. I can't stand it. I can't stand it knowing I've come from, from back in the day. From back in the day. You see stats like this, it is not on an uncommon. It is on a rare. It is a Reality Smasher-esque looking card that somehow got made uncommon.
Yeah. Not just, and also in a relevant creature type, and also monocolored. Like, this is unreal. We were talking before the show that this is the Cloud Goat Ranger of the set, which is an uncommon that is better than 80% of the rares. 5/5 trample haste for 5 is absurd. It is so good. This is probably, I mean, it's not going to be the top. It would be the top of the curve in most sets in a dinosaur tribal set, but with all of the mana ramp and all of the treasure floating around, that Githosh,
he could get there. He could get there.
Could be a thing that you play.
The Oshkosh Bagosh dude.
Oshkosh Bagosh, legendary dinosaur, could be a thing that you play. With the 5 mana ramp things in this set that make your dinosaurs cost less or add mana to your mana pool, you play this thing on turn 3 or 4, and then, immediately get out your Oshkosh Bagosh and get more dinosaurs onto the battlefield. This thing's absurd.
It hurts. It hurts me to know that I have played with cards that are far worse than this, certainly at rare. I mean, you look at like Rowdy Crew or whatever versus this guy. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even remotely close. I mean, whatever. The point is, this is the Cloud Goat Ranger of the set. This is a should have been rare, isn't rare. Treat it like it's a rare. First pick it like it's a rare, because this card will win you game after game.
And speaking of Naya dinosaurs, this is a Naya dinosaur that has what we call French vanilla, which has 2 keywords. There's another dinosaur that has 2 keywords called Sky Terror. It's a red, a white, and for a 2/2 with flying and menace. 2 different types of evasion. That thing's absurd also. So Naya dinosaurs, Nyasaurs, I'm all on board.
Nyasaurs, let's do this. We can make it happen. Spell Swindle is a card that was rumored. I talked about it in the Magic show because that card is ridiculous. I misread it just a little bit, but it's still ridiculous because for 2 blue and 3 generic mana, you get a rare instant that counters target spell. You create X colorless treasure artifact tokens where X is that spell's converted mana cost. And of course, they have tap, sack it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. If you counter a 5 converted mana cost spell, you just have 10 mana. You have 10 mana on your next turn. There's already plenty of ramp. There's already sort of a Birds of Paradise 2-drop guy. There's ways to play this on turn 4. I counter a 4-drop. Oh, oops, I only have 9 mana. Oh, oops, I play land, I have 10. Like, this thing is so rampy. It's, I mean, yeah, it's sort of like a fixed mana drain, but it's like all upside mana drain. Mana drain, you had to spend that mana. This is like, I'll just keep it around. There's already an enchantment that you win when you have like 10 treasure tokens.
Yeah.
Clearly this guy's right next to it.
Yeah, not only that, but there's so many cards that interact with treasure, with revolt, triggering all your revolt stuff with your treasure tokens every turn forever. You can immediately cast another spell, Swindle, when you counter an Oshkosh Bagosh or a 5/5 Trample Haste.
Yeah. You can also tap them for that Kaladesh ability, the Convoke.
Right, improvise. Yeah. You can Battle of the Bridge your opponent, or Battle of the Bridge your opponent's stuff.
Battle
of the Bridge with your. Hold on, we have to Battle of the Bridge with our spell Swindle.
That card is just not remotely fair. When I first read it, I was like, "Oh, this is rumored. It's just on the rumor sites. There's no way." Really? I mean,
it is a 5-mana counterspell.
It's a 5-mana counterspell.
It's a 5-mana counterspell. That's a lot, but
it's a damn good one.
You know, we might live it. That's a really good 5-mana counterspell.
Yeah. All right. So next up is a card that they only showed on the MTG Arena stream. It debuted there. Jaws were dropped. I tweeted out, "Oh my God!" You know, herplerds. Growing Rites of Itlamok is a legendary green enchantment for a green and 2 generic mana. So for 3 mana, when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it in your hand. You put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Okay, cool, whatever. But at the beginning of your end step, if you have 4 or more creatures, you transform it into Itlamok, Cradle of the Sun, which is a legendary land that taps to add a green or taps to add a green for each creature you control. That is ridiculous. Look, I have seen like almost tears come out of casual players around cool stuff who play EDH. They just play casually. They want a Gaia's Cradle, but they can't ever afford one. Like, this is going to flip. If you're playing this casually, 100% of the time, this will flip no problem because you're always making dudes in screen decks and whatever. In Constructed, I could still see it. It's not that hard. It tutors up its own condition to flip. It ramps. There's, again, more ramping. You want to play your 8-drop dinosaur duder guy, whatever. You're just flooding the field, paying 3 mana to get it. You're probably going to play Commune with dinosaurs, but that's a different discussion. The point is, this is as close as we're probably ever going to get to a new Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah, of course.
It's real close.
I mean, Nykthos was pretty close. I really like the way that they've fixed a bunch of these broken lands from eras past. Mm-hmm. You know, you're paying 3 mana and have to jump over a hurdle to get a Gaia's Cradle. Still pretty darn good.
Still fine.
Still good. Still quite fine. You know, you gotta jump some hurdles to get a Maze of Ith now. Okay, still quite good, right? And then there's going to be a whole cycle. We don't know the red one yet. I actually don't know what the red one's going to be. Can't really think of it off the top of my head, but it's not going to be Shivan Gorge because
please don't be Shivan Gorge. Please don't be Shivan Gorge.
But yeah, we get a Maze of Ith, we get a Lotus Veil. Now we have Lost Veil, aka the Lost World. We have a fixed Keljoran Outpost. High five, everybody! Which is by far the strongest one so far. Holy bejeebus, is that card good? And these are super sweet. I like that these flipped lands or flip things that turn into lands not only ramp you, but also give you super powerful effects once you're able to follow the map to their final location.
I especially like the black one. I'm trying to find it right now.
Arguel's Bloodghast?
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
It's a black and generic.
I think that one. That was one of the few that really hit me when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, the one where you can sort of bleed yourself and then it flips and then it's like, oh my god, I love it.
And it becomes a Mirren of the Moaning Well.
Yes.
Yeah, that part's really good as well.
And then just the drawing.
Like, it's a 2-mana greed, basically. That allows you to flip into sacrifice a creature, sacrifice a creature, you gain life equal to the sacrifice creature's toughness, or add black mana to your mana pool. So it's actually a Diamond Valley.
I was going to say,
it's
for you young...
here in the Moaning Well.
I think, is it a Diamond Valley? Yeah, it's not Elfin Graveyard. Yeah, it's a Diamond Valley. So Diamond Valley was just tap, sack a creature, gain life equal to its toughness. This actually lets you...
The point is that, you basically bleed yourself low, and then when you get too low, it flips, and you can essentially build yourself back up again. And I love the art. I love the art on the flip side where it's got the person walking into the temple, and you just see this red carpet of blood, like leading the way for them. That's so good. Yeah. And the flavor text talks about there being a bat god. And I was like, bat god. And I was like, I'm in for whatever this card is.
And also, a couple of the cards in the set hint to this, the Bloodghast of various... they hint to this, which is basically the vampire conquistadors, as a rite of passage, starve themselves of blood until they go crazy. And Arguel's Bloodghast went so crazy that he found the Bat God's temple. Like, that's awesome. He just went on a spirit quest. You had that friend in college that when they got too drunk, they just went off on an adventure? And then you were like, where'd Tom go? Ours was named Tom. Our guy that we always lost when he got too drunk was named Tom. Tom would get too drunk, and we'd be at the bar. We'd be like, beer bomb, shot bomb, beer. Where'd Tom go? And then we'd find him 3 hours later in the middle of College Green making snow angels. That's based on a true story. In any case, that's basically what's happening here, is that this guy got so drunk on not having blood that he went and found a Diamond Valley, which is kind of awesome. So
we got to talk about what you mentioned earlier was Legion's Landing. A 1 white mana legendary enchantment that when it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Okay. When you attack with 3 or more creatures, you transform it into Adonto, the first fort, which is a legendary land that taps for a white mana or a white and 2 generic mana tap, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Now look, I have played with Keldoran Outpost. This is better than Keldoran Outpost by some measure. The ability to...
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know that they had lifelink. Now that I know that they have lifelink, this card is even better.
Yes, this card is crazy good. And 1 mana, and it's one of those, like, if you have to play a second copy of it so you can get an extra token so you can flip it next turn, that's fine. The fact that these enchantments turn into lands to ramp you is huge. Particularly, and I have to bring this one up too, the blue one. The blue one is, unless the red one is literally straight bananas, this is easily the best one in my opinion. The search for Azcanta is a blue and a generic mana for a rare legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card of your library, you may put it in your graveyard if you wanna. Then, if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, Threshold, you transform it into Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, a legendary land that taps for a blue mana, so suddenly this enchantment now turns into a land that keeps you ramping. However, blue and 2 generic mana tap, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. If you've ever played a control deck in your life, I think a little P just came out, because that card is just ridiculous. That card is crazy, crazy good. It flips itself, it fuels itself to flip. And then it is the ultimate. Are you doing anything on your turn? You do anything on your turn? Okay, end of your turn, go find a counter spell in my top 4. Okay, great. Or go find a draw spell. Or go find a removal spell. Like, whatever. This is what the control deck wants to do, which is nothing until the end of your turn, which I activate this thing, and I just take over the game from there. Like, this, it hits all the marks. I can't.
Yeah. If you thought that Thassa was good as just like a thing that you play on turn 3 and then scry one every turn, like you didn't even really need it to be a 5/5 in order for Thassa to be good. This is the control deck version of a Thassa. And at 2 mana, it lets you untap on 3 to be able to keep up your Disallow or your Nimble Obstructionist or whatever. and then eventually will ramp you into another land, which as a blue control deck you're going to want to do. And then if you don't have to counter anything, it lets you impulse without spending a card. Yeah, this card's also amazing.
This card is ridiculous, and this is one of those like, okay, blue's really good now. They made blue good. I do want to specifically point out earlier, I don't think we went over everything about it. Arguel's Bloodghast, which is, you know, I guess the honorary Erin Campbell invitational card. Black and a generic mana, rare legendary enchantment. Black and a generic mana, pay 2 life, draw a card. So that's also known as Greed, the card Greed.
No, my invitational card is the Blue Pirate.
Ooh, the Blue Pirate. It looks just like
That's the one that looks like me.
That's right. But at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you flip it over to Temple of Aclazots. Is that right? Aclazots? Man, I'm too southern for this set, man. Too southern. It's showing.
I'm being told that it's based on the real world bat god Kamazots.
Yeah.
From Aztec culture.
Yeah, I believe I had a follower too who were, I guess there was one more animal god they were anticipating, and they're really hype about it. So
Quetzalcoatl, I imagine, will make an appearance at some point.
Good job.
I will also stumble over that embarrassingly. It'll be great. I can't wait for it. But it does turn into a Diamond Valley where you taps for a black mana, or you tap sacrifice creature : you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. I think the story it tells is amazing. The blood, once you point out the blood trail on the temple, it's just the best.
It's great.
It's so
Speaking
terrific.
of lands, are we not going to talk about the Blood Moon change?
Ooh, right, the rule change.
Yes,
the rule
please.
change, the Blood Moon, and
yeah, Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon and lands coming into play. So the functional change is that cards that have as they enter the battlefield effects no longer do those as effects happen if there is a Blood Moon effect on the battlefield. Mostly this is going to affect shock lands, which say as they enter the battlefield you may pay 2 life to have them untapped. Those no longer trigger. But it also functionally changes how Dark Depths works. So if you have a Magus of the Moon in play and play a Dark Depths, the Dark Depths no longer has those ice counters on it. So then if the Magus dies, you just get a 20/20.
I interpreted it a little differently. I'm not. Maybe someone in chat can help. But I thought it just came into play a Merit Lage, didn't it?
No, it comes into play as a mountain, and that's sort of what they were saying.
Right.
They're now just basic mountains in your hand. They're not like that weird, I'm going to pay 2 life, and otherwise my mountain comes into play tapped.
Okay.
Or as it comes into play, they can put ice counters on it, but it's still a mountain. Like that,
okay.
That's weird, and I appreciate this little rules change because then you had to start looking at layers and timing and like humility, for example, when it comes out, like everybody's just a 1/1. There's no when you play a creature.
There's an entire blog post about it already on the Judge blog. That's like Blood Moon and Valakid, Blood Moon and Darksteel Citadel. Like it's a thing. Like there's a lot going on with that card, and you know I agree. It sounds like a rules change. It should have been like this, but it hasn't been, and it's been neat seeing people kind of come up with things to do with it. Like I appreciate that. There
are a couple of as effects on lands. Cavern of Souls being brought up in chat by Mystic Owl is another one that will not name a creature type if there's a Magus of the Moon in play. But the Dark Depths one is the one that combos the most effectively, obviously.
Well,
so anyway, that's a rule change that's going to come out.
No, I appreciate the fact that you guys brought it up because we didn't talk about it. But you know, otherwise, it's very intuitive. I feel like if there's a Blood Moon out, your lands, your non-basic lands, are mountains in your hand. There's no weird if and buts about it.
We also really needed another way to combo with Dark Depths.
Well, yeah, obviously. Next up, we're going to go over here to Desperate Ravings because we have a few things to talk about. The first I wanted to talk about was a brand new product that was just announced during HasCon, which are these, they call them Relic tokens. This is from Ultra Pro. And first up, we have the Relic Tokens Eternal Collection, whatever that means. These are tokens that are going to be put into packs, 3 per each. There's going to be 24 packs per display. There's going to be foil versions of all these things I'm showing you. So there's ones, for those who can't see, there's little dials on both sides. There's a Gideon dial, you can keep track of loyalty, Nicol Bolas, there's a Tarmogoyf one, of course. And these things have rarity, and they don't actually explain what the rarity is, but I'm pretty sure the Tarmogoyf's rare. But the point is, not only they're going to have the regular versions, they're also going to have the foil versions. So you can use these to keep track of things, to keep track of whether your angels are 4/4s or 2/2s for some reason, or your dragons are 4/4s or 5/5s, which I think is a better example. But either way, the idea that they're creating these tokens, they're creating foil versions of them, they're putting 3 per pack, and they're charging you $5 a pack. I feel we couldn't not talk about what this is, because this is an actual brand new product I've never even really seen before for Magic.
Yeah, these are weird. I don't even know what to say about these. They're just strange, and I have no frame of reference as to how to even gauge them. They frighten me in that way.
They're unknown, yet so we fear them.
I'm intrigued and confused.
It kind of reminds me of that player when, you know, or maybe you've been there yourself, but, you know, when you bring, like, a token. So, like, for example, I was playing my Hapatra EDH deck the other day, and I ran out of snakes. And so where you take the one snake you have and just slam a 20-sider on it, you're like, I got 20 snakes. I don't have enough tokens. Like, that's kind of what this reminds me of, where it's like, I don't have enough soldier tokens. I'm just going to flip the dial to be like, oh, look, I now have 10 soldiers. Like, I'm just like, that's probably, I don't know if that's how you're supposed to use it, but that's what I thought of when I saw the dial feature is, oh, is this what we're doing now? Or, like, I'm not really sure. I
think the real question is, does anybody like to use dials? Seriously? Like,
I mean, not particularly. Not while I'm playing Magic.
They used to make life counters with dials. Do you remember you ever having those?
Yeah.
I like the abacus. I want more of those abacus ones.
Those were hot fire.
Hold on, let me change my life total. Tick, 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 tick. All right, we did it. I will
those
bring
are really
a real-life, 1,000-year-old abacus to my next Magic tournament. You watch me do it, gosh darn it.
As opposed to me, where, like, my decks kill people so fast, or I die so fast, I don't even waste paper anymore. I just use one of those little whiteboards with a erasable marker, because there's no point in wasting paper, because my life total is probably going to stay at 20, or yours will stay at 20, but I'll just kill you in one shot. So
your opponent
it's
has life total. You have an on-off switch. Am I at 0? No? All right, you're dead.
Got it. Perfect. All I'm saying is these Ultra Pro token things, they have official artwork on them. So the Tarmogoyf, token has actual Tarmogoyf on it. So does Nicol Bolas, and Gideon has one of Gideon the Trials on there. And of course, while it does track power and toughness, those in the chat were a little confused. It can also track loyalty counters, which is what the Planeswalkers ones are doing, which is fine. But like at $5 a pack, it better be damn good. I'm not kidding.
You can essentially buy, there are dice that do all of these things now. It's like, we have plus-minus dice, for if you get a buff or a deficit. There's loyalty dice now that you can buy that specifically have a loyalty symbol on it. We've got Tarmo die that Star City likes to sell. I just feel like there's products already out there that, again, for that price, like you could probably just buy one set of die and it would do all these things. Like, I'm not really sure what this is. I'm not really sure what hole in the market this is trying to fill.
It feels
like a man who owns dozens of sets of dice, like a bag of because I play a ton of D&D and all of my players always forget their dice. So I have D20s, I have D12s, I have D10s, etc., etc., etc. I have far too many dice. I don't need your extraneous specialty dice. With to further that point, I don't need your extraneous specialty counters. I'm perfectly okay using just like pieces of paper or the cards that come from Magic the Gathering. I don't need your $5 packs of tokens. Maybe it's just not for me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm confused and intrigued.
It feels like a solution in search of a problem. And I appreciate that it's a new product, and I love making new products myself and working on new things and different stuff, but like this one struck me really weird. And foil tokens, like rare tokens, maybe there's a market. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah.
And we'll see. However, Ruben, I want you to tell us a little bit about this modern cube that they have on Magic Online right now.
I refuse to do that because I just don't want to.
Oh, you're doing it.
I will not tell you about this modern cube because it's so bad, Evan. It's so bad. All right.
How bad is it?
It's real bad. You want to know how bad it is? I'm not playing it. I know it exists, and I'm choosing to not play it. And I am a cube addict.
I love Cube.
So, for those of you who have been paying attention to Magic the Gathering online digital objects for the past week or so, there is a cube available on Magic Online for you to play that calls itself, laughingly, the modern cube. Here are the facts. This cube has 540 cards in it. How many Planeswalkers do you think are in the 540 card modern cube?
20?
If you said 42, then you're correct. 19%, over 90, almost 20% of the cube.
One out of every 5 cards. One out of every 5 cards.
Wow.
Is a Planeswalker. Among cards that are in this modern cube are Thriving Grubs. Yep. Is in this modern cube. Dusk to Dawn.
Why?
Like, this cube, not only does it have way too many planeswalkers, it's like the most mid-rangey thing you've ever seen in your life.
Oh my god.
It is a mid-range fest. It's a draft by numbers. You literally just pick planeswalker, planeswalker, planeswalker for the first, 3 of the first 5 picks, and then you just like pick some mana fixing, and then 1-for-1 removal, and then like a Sphinx's Revelation or a way to draw additional cards, and that's all you do. I drafted this cube like 4 or 5 times, and only drafted 3-color midrange, and then I stopped because I couldn't take it anymore. This cube doesn't have Eidolon of the Great Revel. This cube doesn't have Aven Mind Sensor. Like, the cards that aren't in this cube are staggering. And then it has Gideon, Champion of Justice.
No, that's the one. That's the one. You know what's going to do this. That's the one. If you are building a cube, ladies and gentlemen, and it has Gideon, Champion of Justice, you have lost the game. You have lost. You are done. Hang up your cube design boots because you need to go out to pasture, bro. You're done. You're out. I can't handle it. I don't care. Mix some metaphors. Who gives a crap? You're done.
If you have 42 planeswalkers in your cube and you think that might be one too many, Gideon, Champion of Justice is a good one to cut for something else or anything else.
Literally
anything else.
More thriving grubs, please.
In addition, there isn't enough like artifact mana or support for how much artifact hate there is in this cube. Like, they have released the Gremlins, which is like a perfectly reasonable card to have in your modern cube, but not when you like don't have enough signets, right?
Oh man,
there's
it's
just
so
not
good.
that level of support. There's not enough reanimation support. Like, there's a Gristle brand in this cube,
yeah,
and then there's like 4 ways to bring it back, and one of them is
inexcusable.
Right? Like, this cube is weird and it's bad, and I just don't have anything good to say about it. There are 5 1-drop red creatures in this 540 card cube.
5. Less than 1%.
There are 7 white 1-drop creatures in this 541 card cube. Like, you couldn't find room for Elite Vanguard. I have a suggestion. We could cut Gideon, Champion of Justice.
Hey, that's a good idea.
In any case, look, I love the cube, and I like I think I like the idea of a modern cube, but you have to build it more like it's a legacy cube, where you build archetypes into it. Put Affinity into your modern cube, all right? Just try it. Put in Arcbound Ravager. See what happens.
Because this whole...
At the very least, don't cut modern staples like Eidolon of the Great Revel and Aven Mind Sensor. At the very least, please don't kill those darlings. In any case, that's just quick rant.
Cubes come, cubes go. Okay, cubes have low points and high points, and I'm telling you, this is a low point. I played it a few times. I kept drafting mono white because I like to draft mono white and Wizards cubes because they usually overpower the white stuff.
Yeah, I was drafting a mono white a strategy for a little while there.
And the only way I would lose, I swear to God, this happened twice in a row. The only way I lost was in the 3rd round. I would play the mirror match. They would also be playing mono white, and we would like get to our planeswalkers first or whatever, and whoever got their wins. There you go.
I'm being told that Mind Sensor is actually in it. I apologize. I must have missed that one. But there are certainly white 2 and 3 drops that should be in it that aren't.
Champion of Justice, man. Don't you dare Champion of Justice me. Don't you straight look me in the eye and tell me to pay money to play with a cube with Gideon Champion of Justice in it, okay? Don't do that to me. Don't do that to somebody who's been cubing for friggin' a decade now. Don't do that. It's ridiculous. It's bad. You should feel bad, okay? Yeah. Champion of Justice me. Get out of here. Whatever.
You did not survive a hurricane to play Gideon, Champion of Justice.
You see what I'm saying? My power didn't come back on, so I could be like, oh boy, I can't wait to draft another 7 Planeswalker deck. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Also, my math is wrong on that, but still, 42 out of 540 is like
42 is a lot.
Many.
42 is too many.
It's still, like, I don't think I would have 42 Planeswalkers in a 720 card cube.
I don't even know if I could name 42 Planeswalkers.
They put just everything. Just everything.
You know, every Planeswalker?
No, they didn't, what I'm saying, but they put just so many in there. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, they cut Tybalt, and they cut the bad Jace, and then they just left the bad Gideon, and then every other Planeswalker is in there.
And they're like, oh, Champion of Justice, oh! No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, okay? Thought we were closer than that, Wizards. I thought we had something. Thought there was something there. On the cubes, there's
Look,
not.
It needs it. I think I like the idea of the modern cube. I think I like the idea of it.
I like the idea of all sorts of cubes.
I think it needs a drastic redesign.
I agree with that. So, a little bit of splash damage. And, Aaron, you've been reading up on this a little bit, and I read up on it a little bit before. There was some craziness going on in Force of Will. Now, Force of Will, if you haven't seen it or played it, what it does is it is a pseudo rip-off of Commander and Magic, but it's one of those games that gets rid of mana screw. Every turn you draw like a land, quote unquote, from your land deck, and every turn you draw, a spell from your spell deck. And you have a commander, and that commander has super cool abilities, and you play creatures, and you try to kill your other person's commander or whatever. And it's really fun looking at their designs versus Magic designs, because literally you can take their power and toughnesses, cut them, divide them by 10, cut them in half, and that's the Magic power and toughness. I kid you not. Check it out. It works every time. However, they had this Worlds, and they had their first apparently big money tournament, big cash money dollar tournament. And Aaron, what did you kind of take away from this one?
So this young man named Anton made a post to the Force of Will subreddit called The Master's Screwjob. And he talks about his experience. He starts it off by saying that he's a well-known community member, an accomplished player from the game Force of Will. He says he's been playing the game for 3 years, numerous top 8s, yada, yada, yada. So he goes to this tournament, and I'm under the impression that he made top 8 at this tournament. And he goes on to say that there was a meeting, I guess, before the start of the top 8 that he implies he didn't know anything about. And so he shows up late to this meeting. Interesting to note that, from what I take away of this, he was the only one in the top 8 to miss the meeting. So my first concern is, how did everybody else know about the meeting and make the meeting, but you did not? That's my first question. So anyways, he's late for this meeting, and there's some sort of penalty, or he's somehow negatively affected by the fact that he wasn't there on time. Then they decide to do a deck check on him, which the post says is done as a courtesy. Like, I guess the deck checks aren't mandatory or enforced, maybe, like they are with us. So he goes in for this deck check, and a card is missing from his deck. And so the judge comes back and says, hey, girl, you're missing this card. And he gets a penalty for it. He basically gets a game loss, if you will. And he's just sort of beside himself. He's like, I know I had this card. I believe a friend loans him the cards that he can keep playing. And so he does this thing. And apparently he loses his first game. And because he got a game loss already, he's out. So between the game loss for the card being missing and just losing the game naturally to his opponent, he's out. And so he's very emotional at this point. And he ends up having lunch with people who work for Force of Will.
Right.
And they end up going out to lunch, and during that lunch, these people tell him to basically keep this under the rug. That, hey, we know you had a really bad day, we know some stuff is going on, but don't tell anybody about this, because if you indicate you had a bad experience, you might kill it for the rest of us.
No more cash tournaments.
Right. Now, can you imagine if you went out to lunch with, say, Helene Bourgeot, and you had a negative GP experience, and she was like, could you just not talk about this? Like, that would never happen. Like, she would be the first one to go after something for you. And so an official from Force of Will tried to silence him, basically. So he goes back to the event, he's still upset, and then supposedly they find the card. And he says that the judge who did the deck check somehow dropped it or like put it aside or something.
So I have some opinions. I apologize,
and
but
so
I have some opinions on that.
Yeah, and
later.
so there's this series of unfortunate events, basically, that has led this man to basically say that he's no longer going to play the game anymore. He wants to warn people who play other card games that this could sort of happen to him. And it got cross-posted to the Magic subreddit as sort of a cautionary tale of, for as much as we like to criticize Magic, it could be worse. And it was really long. Like, he's really entitled, and he's very. It was a lot to read, and it was very interesting. But I'm not really sure. It's a lot of unfortunate events.
It's one of those where it's amazing to me when you do, like, we look through the lens of Magic, we look through the lens of how Wizards has done their organized play, we look at how tournaments have happened and how bad rulings happen and whatever happens as a result of those rulings, but never, ever could I imagine a Wizards brass taking out, Paulo Vitor or whatever if he got screwed over in the top 8 and be like, PV, could you just not really sort of explain what happened here, because if you do, there's no more 30k GPs. Like, sorry, this is on your shoulders, buddy. This is what you do. If I have to go back to Wizards corporate and tell them that PV was super pissed and told everybody what happened, that's on you. Like, what? How do you get there? How does that happen? That's really weird.
Hey, Evan, what's the part of the controversy that's always the problem? It's the cover-up.
Ah, yes.
Right?
It's never the crime.
It's never the crime. It's the attempt to cover up the crime. And the fact that the people from Force of Will said, hey, would you not talk about the thing that just happened to you that is the most horrific thing that could have possibly happened to you in this event, is the worst part of it. Now, my reading of this situation was that this gentleman made top 8. I don't care what this guy's bona fides are. I don't care that apparently this guy was known for being a bit of a rabble-rouser. I literally don't care.
Who cares?
It doesn't matter if this is the loudest human on the planet that always causes trouble. It doesn't matter. His deck was checked by official folks in a controlled environment, was found to be missing a card. They gave him a game loss. The controlled environment was no longer controlled once the top 8 started. Then they found it in the same. They found it on the floor in the same area where the deck checks were. So, what?
And then you have the tournament officials who said they looked on the floor and couldn't find it. And then you have his friends who called him later and said they found your card. Where are we at here?
Yeah. I just don't. I can't fathom this happening at a Magic event. Like, how could it possibly happen that if you're searching, if you have a deck that has 74 cards, like you're missing a sideboard card, you're missing a main deck card, whatever. I could never imagine this happening in a Magic tournament. Then further, I couldn't imagine finding that card on the floor and then it not getting solved. And further, I couldn't imagine Helene Bourgeau saying, would you mind? I can't do the impression like she does. But, don't talk about this to anybody. I can't imagine being so mad. Seeing the card on the floor, open the door, get on the floor, everybody walk the dinosaur.
Wow, did you just do that? Did you just...
Ixalan. I tried to do it. And
I think it's important to note, though. I think it's important to note, and I'm not excusing what happened by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it's important to note that this was a test run of this kind of tournament. This isn't a game that has been doing tournaments for as long as Magic has, and to be Magic, despite Magic running tournaments for so long and being the judge, and with the judge program being around for so long, mistakes still happen. But for a tournament series that has just started, I could understand there being mistakes. And I'm not saying that excuses what happened, because it just seems like it kept snowballing. But, we need to... I think that's an important piece of the puzzle here, is that Force of Will has not been running tournaments for 15, 20 years like Magic has. I'm under the impression this is new.
Yes,
and so that there's going to be some kinks.
Sure.
So...
This just happened to be a $20,000 kink for this guy.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I mean,
good press.
Not great, and he's he's going to quit the game and all that stuff, and for what it's worth, I totally understand that. However, we have to keep moving, and we got to go to our giveaway winner. Congratulations, Sean L. from Taipei, Taiwan.
Wow.
These gold doubloons going all across the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Singapore Pirates? That's the right area of the world. I remember that from the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I apologize if I got my geography wrong.
Isn't Singapore? Wait. I think Singapore is Malaysia-ish, and then Taiwan's.
I'm being a stupid person.
I'm a I've won many geography bees in my day. I'll have you know.
I apologize.
I didn't win the geography bees.
We're gonna go halfway to the other side of the world, Master and Commander style.
All I know is I'm sending gold doubloons to Taiwan, and that's pretty cool. So congratulations to Sean L. I'll hit you up on email tomorrow. Thanks for participating, and thanks for everybody else for doing so as well. Reminder, our Sunday Patron stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Show up.
6 p.m. Pacific, like me, or 8 p.m. Pacific Central, like Erin, or 3 p.m. Pacific Hawaiian, like Moana.
What is the Taiwan time zone for our friend?
Oh, God. I got nothing. Now you've hit us with hardballs.
I'm going to guess 8 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. We got to turn the corner. to the finisher. Now, last week, I experienced my own version of adventure on the high seas when the high seas came to me, thanks to Hurricane Irma. Thankfully, as you can see, my house and I are still in one relatively dry piece, and we're able to come back home somewhat quickly. But as Irma moves along, we still have Jose, Katia, and more on the horizon, not to mention more in future years. So how should Magic Mike's treat weather delays in the future, Erin?
Well, up here in Wisconsin, we don't get hurricanes, but we do get blizzards. Because the thing about snowflakes is this. They are beautiful and unique, but in large numbers, they become an unstoppable avalanche that will bury you.
Wow. Ruben?
Were you just talking about weather there? I didn't catch any second. Well, here in Vegas, we don't get hurricanes or blizzards or mudslides or sharknadoes or what have you. We don't really get natural disasters, but we do get a lot of man-made disasters. For example, the new Britney Spears show at Planet Hollywood.
Okay.
You went too far.
Hashtag man-made disaster.
Woo!
Britney is a survivor. Do you hear
That's
me?
her next album is Man-Made Disaster.
Which I will buy.
She will.
I will pre-order.
She will love it. So I think it's probably a little too soon for me to be making hurricane jokes. So I'm going to wait a few weeks for all this to blow over.
Hey-o.
Can I just say,
Hey, guys.
I had an image of you being rescued in a boat with three officers and 3 dudes. Seriously, just
wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad that wasn't necessary. But that ends another episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to our fans for sticking with us through this.
We're sorry it took a while. We were here as soon as we could be. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you, Evan. See you Sunday. See you Tuesday when we do our top 10 green cards, and see you next Wednesday and often.
Absolutely. As we go to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, cardhoarder.com, just adding stuff. Our co-sponsor, I know, right? Let's start again. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler for laughing at me, you guys for watching. Hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Visit our website at MagicMikesPodcast.com that exists thanks to our Patreon supporters, or follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people that we exist. Catch us online at Twitch.tv/MagicMikes, on Twitter at MagicMikesCast, and on Reddit at Reddit.com/r/MagicMikes, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/MagicMikes. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.